town of Blackwood had always been known for its tranquil charm. Nestled in a quiet valley, it was a place where time seemed to slow, and the worries of the world faded into obscurity. That was until a series of gruesome murders sent shockwaves through the once peaceful community. The first victim was Mary Turner, a gentle woman who had spent her life caring for the sick and elderly. Her lifeless body was discovered in her cozy cottage, her throat cruelly slashed. Her once warm and inviting home had been transformed into a scene of unspeakable horror. The townspeople were shaken to their core, unable to comprehend the brutality of the crime. The second murder was that of James Anderson, a retired schoolteacher who had dedicated his life to educating generations of Blackwood's children. His body was found in the local library, a place he had loved and cherished. His books were scattered around him, their pages stained with his own blood. Detective Laura Harris was assigned to the case. Her keen mind had solved many mysteries, but the level of malevolence in these murders was unlike anything she had encountered before. The killers seemed to revel in the grotesque manner in which they displayed their victims, leaving behind a trail of unspeakable terror. As the investigation unfolded, a pattern emerged. Each victim had received a mysterious note shortly before their death. The notes were cryptic, filled with dark riddles and hints of an impending doom. The townspeople were gripped by fear, wondering who would be the next to receive such a terrible message. The third victim was Father Robert Michaels, the town's beloved priest. His lifeless body was found in the confessional, his once kind eyes now empty and lifeless. The killer had left behind a chilling message, written in the priest's own blood, that read, "God cannot save you now." The town's church was supposed to be a sanctuary, a place of solace and reflection. Instead, it had become a house of horrors, its pews tainted with the lingering presence of evil. Detective Harris delved into the lives of the victims, searching for any connection that might lead her to the murderer. The more she uncovered, the more she realized that there was a common thread. All the victims had secrets, secrets that were now buried with them. As the tension in Blackwood continued to mount, the townspeople began to turn on one another, each one suspecting their neighbors of harboring a dark secret. Trust dissolved into paranoia, and the once strong community began to crumble. The fourth victim was Sarah Turner, Mary's daughter. Her lifeless body was found in her mother's cottage, and the message left by the killer was more disturbing than ever. It read, "Family ties cannot save you." Detective Harris knew that she had to act quickly. With each murder, the killers seemed to grow more brazen, their taunts more sadistic. The town was held in a grip of fear, and the once close-knit community had become a place of shadows and whispers. The detective received a break in the case when a witness came forward. An elderly man claimed to have seen a figure lurking near Mary Turner's cottage on the night of her murder. His description was vague, but it was a lead, and Harris pursued it relentlessly. As the investigation intensified, the town's paranoia reached a fever pitch. People locked their doors, avoided one another, and the once bustling streets grew empty and desolate. Blackwood had become a ghost town, haunted by the specter of the unknown killer. The fifth victim was Daniel Reynolds, a reclusive artist known for his haunting and macabre paintings. His lifeless body was discovered in his studio, his own art twisted into a gruesome tableau that seemed to depict his own murder. The message left by the killer was chilling, reading, "Creativity cannot save you." Detective Harris was running out of time. The town was spiraling into chaos, and the killer's reign of terror showed no signs of abating. She knew she had to decipher the messages and riddles left behind by the murderer before more lives were claimed. The detective gathered a small group of trusted townspeople to help her. Together, They pored over the notes, searching for hidden meanings. As they worked tirelessly, the pieces began to fall into place. Each message contained references to the victims' pasts, their secrets, and their sins. The group discovered that all the victims had been part of a secret society, one that had thrived in the shadows of Blackwood for generations. This society had committed unspeakable acts, using their influence to maintain their grip on the town. The killer, it seemed, was seeking retribution for their sins. The town of Blackwood was plunged into a state of terror, as the realization dawned that the killer was among them, exacting vengeance for the darkest deeds of the past. As fear and paranoia took hold, accusations flew, and the townspeople turned on one another. The sixth victim was Robert Turner, the last surviving member of the secret society. His lifeless body was found in the underground chamber where the society had held its clandestine meetings. The message left behind read, "Secrets have a price." With the revelation of the secret society's existence, Detective Harris knew that she was closing in on the killer. She could feel the noose tightening, but the question remained, could she unmask the murderer before they claimed another victim? The town of Blackwood was on the brink of collapse, its once close-knit community fractured by fear and suspicion. As the detective pieced together the final clues, she realized that the killer was someone who had been present throughout the investigation, hiding in plain sight. In a dramatic confrontation, Detective Harris exposed the killer's identity. It was John Anderson, the son of James Anderson, the second victim. John had lost his father, and his obsession with uncovering the truth had driven him to madness. He believed that the secret society was responsible for his father's death, and he had embarked on a vengeful crusade to expose their sins. The town watched in shock as John was arrested, and the nightmare that had gripped Blackwood finally came to an end. The community was forever scarred by the horrors they had endured, and the bonds that had once united them were shattered. As the days passed, Detective Harris couldn't shake the feeling that the whispers of the past still lingered in Blackwood. The town had been forever changed, its idyllic facade marred by the sins of those who had come before. In the end, the detective had unraveled the mystery of the murders, but the ghosts of Blackwood would continue to haunt the town, their whispers echoing in the night, a reminder that secrets could have a price, and that darkness could lurk even in the most tranquil of places.